e-cigarettes than the mic, if that's okay. What about this one? Can you hear me now? What's that from? Can you hear me now?
Verizon commercials, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God. Don't ever tell anyone. Okay.
Do you mind if I start with something that I think is on everyone's minds? Harrison Ford was on Conan recently, and Conan brought out $1,000 to buy any inside info on the next episode of Star Wars. But Conan's an American TV show host, so I've got a Canadian $5. Canada TV, a lot lower budgets.
You want to know what Harrison was going to say?
Sure. Or what you know about.
He's a bullshitter, though. We could just make up stuff, though, huh? No, I've already made up stuff about it, so we'll let Harrison do it. He's been talking a lot, hasn't he?
He's been doing more press recently. What?
And like playing with Chewbacca, saying you always were a good wife and stuff like that. I'm glad he's breaking that stuff out. So good.
Yeah, you and Mark have always been a little bit more accessible and ready to talk about that sort of thing, and Harrison's always a little bit more quiet and reserved. Why do you think that is?
He's older. You know, he's like, well, he's a lot older than I am. I'm not saying something. No, he's more of that personality type.
Yeah.
Get him drunk, though, and he'll blah, 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 blah. So that's what I recommend.
And what vodka, scotch, rum?
From what I hear, it's bourbon these days. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what's your convention experience been like? Here we saw you out in Calgary earlier this year. What do you enjoy most about this experience?
The sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's very, very open to try new things and positions and just weird stuff.
Is there like a raffle process?
Well, the people that are into it, they know. They don't need to ask about the raffle thing.
Okay.
There's a whole secret, It's not the dark side, but it's not light either.
Well, another thing.
The wild side.
You're known for being very candid, very forthright. Have you ever said anything at a convention or in an interview that's gotten you in trouble in a big way?
All the time! That's why I can't say anything. So I don't know. No, I really do get in trouble. And I think, when I was in Calgary, I thought, I'm in Calgary. Everywhere is Calgary now, and everywhere is LA, and we all live on the internet, so I don't know.
Well, I want to ask you a question that will get you in trouble.
I don't know.
But on that topic of the internet being everywhere, do you think now it's a difficult time to be an aspiring young actress, given that our society is so focused on, appearance and instant feedback? A photo comes out and instantly there's the Twitterverse and the Tumblrs and the Facebooks and everyone, weighing in on appearance. Do you think it's more challenging?
Well, you have to know when you get in, when you go into that stuff, that it is very appearance-oriented, and that stuff can really be painful. I don't know the type of person that could just shrug it off, but they're going to say stuff about you that you just, I was always really hard on myself, and, when they say, there's no one harder on yourself than yourself, yes, there are. They're out there now. They can say such rough stuff.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's more difficult, and in the sense that it gives, I think lately there's this sort of, you get this feeling that it's very easy to be famous. And certainly there are ways of getting into celebrity that don't really involve talent of any kind, except the willingness to be, on camera, which a lot of people are. So, I don't know, it just like, people are saying to little kids, what do you want? And they'll, 5-year-olds, I want my own brand, So it's a very strange time for that, but it is not an easy job because of that stuff. It's personal, it can be personal, it can be mean. And I think people see it's like, oh, it looks like all this approval, and And they confuse approval. You can confuse approval with love. And you don't get love without its dark side. So you have to be willing to take those kind of risks.
Well, if someone was trying to, establish themselves with a career through talent, an aspiring, actor or writer, because
that would be weird.
What advice do you have to aspiring young, creative types, be they actors or writers or directors?
Well, be passionate about something. You can't tell someone to do that, but if you're passionate about acting or music or writing or being a musician, or there's so many, but you have to work really hard. And it's great. I would think it would be great to be really, really skilled at something, in addition to having a special gift. And you could say anyone can be skilled. Anyone could be. It just takes an enormous amount of work. And that's, where you get the respect. The other kind of celebrity, you don't get the respect, but, you get to sign autographs. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you about the upcoming project where you're playing yourself.
What is that?
Maps to the Stars?
Oh, right, that's right. They thought it was that. I do play myself, and it was something I was born to play. No, a friend of mine wrote it, and he's always wanted to put the words right in my mouth. Took the words right out of my mouth. What's the saying? Well, whichever one it is, he wanted to do it. He did it. It's a scene with Julianne Moore, and she's someone who really wants to be famous, and so she vaguely knows me and runs up to me and wants to get a new assistant. And my dog was in it, and he was brilliant. He actually, Gary, if any of you've seen him, he really is a star. And he stole it. He was brilliant. It's a David Cronenberg film that who's from.
It's from here, but it was shot in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was shot. No, mostly it was shot up here.
Oh,
the
really?
part that I did was in Los Angeles, but they've been up here with Robert Pattinson and Julianne Moore. So it's gotten a lot of press because of mostly him, I guess, right?
It's Twilight.
And Julianne, but that.
Well, with Star Wars, it's now gone into the hands of J.J. Abrams for the next film. He was also the captain of Star Trek. Is he the right guy to helm a new generation of Star Wars films, in your opinion?
Oh, he's brilliant at it. I just think it is funny that he gets to do everything that has the word star right in the beginning. So, he can do Star Tours, that ride at Disneyland. But I think he is brilliant at that. And he loves films, and he loves these films. And he is a real child, you want someone, obviously, that has that passion about it. He grew up, as a lot of you did, with these movies. And so what it does is it connects you up to this innocent part of your life. Who doesn't want to remember being a child? And I have more people coming up to me and saying, I grew up with you. And so it's this wonderful thing of having a community of people. It's like having gone to nursery school with a bunch of people that you can't remember because you're old. So I vaguely remember you from Miss Finkelstein's class, but you've changed.
Well, let me ask you this, with conventions, it's so much about passion and fandom and people geeking out over things. What do you geek out over? What do you have passion for beyond, obviously, your performance, your writing, your career? Just you, just yourself?
No, Cary Grant.
Yeah?
Woo! I worship Cary Grant. I want that t-shirt that says, "Keep calm and Cary Grant." That was who knocked me out as a kid. And I actually met him once and was so, my mother actually got him to call me because she said I had an acid problem, that I was addicted to acid. For those of you that understand, that's the stuff that you clean with the kitchen. And anyway, similar. So I just sort of touched him on the back and went, hi, and I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't.
So now you have an understanding for when people come up to you.
Oh, God, yes. I do wonder where the term starstruck came from, and I looked it up, but they don't have it. Fellini made up paparazzi, though, so there.
Well, now that he's no longer captain of the Star Wars franchise, George Lucas. I've yet to meet him. I've come close a couple of times. What's your impression of him now? Because, of course, there's been some...
He's a dad!
He's a dad, yeah. A new dad.
Yeah, he just has...
Well, he's been a dad for a while, but
he has 3 children that he adopted, but this is his first. So that's Everest. So that's his first. He just got married.
Yeah.
What's my, impression of...
Well, because, there are some people who are a little maybe taken aback by the prequel films that felt they deviated from certain aspects of the originals.
Well, certainly visually I don't think they did, but in a way I think I did talk to JJ about, you know what, I can't say anything about anything.
Almost.
Straight to hell. So, I have no opinions about anything. I learned that in Calgary.
We'll go to the floor for questions in a second, but on that topic of things that get you in trouble, maybe this won't get you in trouble, maybe just tell us a fun story.
It's already bad.
The green rooms at conventions, they're full of various talented people from various different mediums. Have you had any fun encounters or seen any interesting things play out in the green room that you could share with us? Maybe you don't have to give us names, but you could allude to certain things.
I haven't been able to go up to Hulk Hogan because he doesn't seem real to me. So I watched him from over there, not over there, but over there in the green room.
Right.
And why do they call it the green room? I used to know. Same as Starstruck. I don't think anything hilarious has happened back there. No, I've had my picture taken with certain people, and I've had David Hasselhoff wears this T-shirt all the time that says, I think it says, "Don't have." See, that baby's crying about this. She knows the story. It's like, don't hassle me, I'm the Hoff, or something like that. So he was wearing it all the time, and so I made fun of him, and now he doesn't wear it anymore. I don't know if that's right. It's not nice to make fun of people. But you can if someone wears the same T-shirt every day that says their name on it.
Are you ready to take some questions from the crowd?
Absolutely.
All right, throw your hands up. I will run down and bring the microphone to you. How about that? This gentleman right here in the pink shirt.
Oh, I had my picture taken with Alice Cooper. That was a big deal for my daughter.
Thanks for getting in the way. Just right here. Go for it.
Hypothetically, if you were asked to be in episode 7, hypothetically, how would you feel about it? Would you say yes, no?
Well, I'm up for anything, you know? Yeah, sure, I would do that if they asked me. I'm just waiting. I sit by the phone and wait for it to ring. You know, they might get someone that looks like me. I forget who that would be. Stevie Nicks.
Well, I find someone else with their hand up. You, come on up. Oh, I know you. Maybe you could talk about the idea that your image is already owned by Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
and
this isn't mine.
No, not anymore. With Tron Legacy, just a couple of years back, they used Jeff Bridges' likeness and actually, made him appear younger in that film. Can you
Who did
imagine?
I make seem younger? Jabba. No, who did I make?
No, in Tron Legacy, they shot Jeff Bridges as though he was younger using CG.
Wouldn't that be great? They could make me look like Jeff Bridges. They've got that down pat, so why not just use it again?
Well, how would you feel about them using, your likeness?
Would be better than getting, plastic surgery. Or depending on the doctor, I guess. So, that would be cool if you could do that. And for those of you that are really, really young, they'll be able to do it when you're like teenagers. And you don't need it.
All right, hello, Asia.
Hi, this is kind of like a dream come true for me. I'm not actually going to ask a Star Wars question, but I am going to say this. Really wanted to thank you because of the fact that you are so candid and you turn the things that happen in life and you literally just, you make it funny, you make it happy. And as a bipolar woman, I know what that's like and it's hard. And look, like hearing about you reading your wonderful literature that you write, it makes me feel like, you know what, it's a great world, you know, you don't have to be one thing or another. So I just really want to commend you on the fact that you've done such a wonderful public service for people, and also it makes me respect you so incredibly much. So thank you.
Do you want to say anything in reply to that?
I can't do better than that. I want that to be true. No, that's very nice. And I wouldn't, I don't know what to say. No, I like to be candid, but it is something that gets me in trouble. But it also is, you know, I'm gonna make fun of me first, is, you know, you can't fire me, I quit. I'll say it before you go, but that's what I said about the internet. No, they're gonna get you. Someone on the internet said, whatever happened to Carrie Fisher, she used to be so hot, now she looks like Elton John. Thank you, Elton. Yeah, but that's what they do. It's scary, and then I turn it into material so it can't hurt me. I mean, I put that in my show, I put it in my book. But when I saw it, it hurt me. Well, I mean, I'm a human being. Not that Elton is not good looking, but it's never been a goal of mine particularly. When I go to the mirror, I shoot for Bernie Taupin mostly.
All right, we're over here.
Hi, can you describe for us, if you remember, what your personal reaction was when you saw that Star Wars' subtitle had Episode 4 in there? If the actors or crew ever discussed their own ideas for what might have come before? And before you answer, if I could just say, the company I work for does a lot of Star Wars shirts. We want to give you this gift of a Yub Step t-shirt, if possible.
A what?
A Yub Step t-shirt? This is a gift to you.
Well, I'll know when you give it to me. I think my hearing's shot. Was there a question there?
Yes.
Episode 4. That stuff really confused me. Yeah.
Do you want me to paraphrase the question?
Yes.
Okay, so the original Star Wars had the log line of Episode 4. Dubstep. So that alludes to the fact that there were stories told before the first film. So what was your original thought as to what those stories might have been, if you did have any, or if you remember having that thought?
But did it, see, this is how much attention I paid. Did it have it to begin with?
No, it didn't, actually.
So it didn't say Episode 4. No. Ha 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 ha. So I never thought that I would have a mother that was younger than I was and really beautiful, but didn't look like Elton John. So that's annoying. But that only came afterwards.
Yes.
All right, there you go.
Well, we got a question right here.
You worked with the legendary Alec Guinness, and I'm just wondering if you have any behind-the-scenes stories or what it was like working with such a man.
You know, I was 19 years old, and even though I was a big film buff, the biggest thing, he acted like he was this man that was on a yacht. You know, he was this very elegant man, sort of. He didn't smoke, but he had that quality. Being someone who did smoke that would never smell bad from the tobacco and get lung cancer. No, it was like I remember him sitting on the set in his robes, and one time he gave Mark Hamill $20 to go away. That's what I remember.
We got a question from someone beautifully dressed over here.
Hi, obviously I'm a big Star Wars fan. I actually saw you last time you were in Toronto for your wishful drinking show. I saw the last performance you did. It was hilarious and you were amazing. And I was just wondering if you could talk a bit about the process that goes into doing that and what it's like to entertain us for like 3 hours straight.
Well, you know, even from doing stuff like this, it just over time, well, what I was doing is I was giving a lot of people awards. You know, like, say Harrison or George would get an award and they would have me give it to them. So over time, there was like material. You know, there was the Star Wars materials, in effect. And then I was giving my mother awards and Elizabeth Taylor awards. I actually didn't get to use. I thanked her for getting my father out of our house. So it just became, you know, or I'm given an award for being mentally ill. So that material would round up. If you're given enough awards for being mentally ill, you can trade them in for sanity. So I'm like 4 or 5 away from that. So, you know, I just thought, well, I'm just going to organize this and blather it in a show. So that's what happened.
All right. We're back here. Or are you finished? Sorry to interrupt. Good? Okay, there's a question.
Hi, Ms. Fisher. Welcome to Toronto. Another question about a great British actor that you worked with. I really love Peter Cushing. And I just want to ask you what it was like working with him.
Well, he was very elegant, but in another sort of more contained way. He sort of would go off in the scene, you know, when they were getting ready to turn the camera around or something. And he wore white gloves. This is how I remember it. Maybe this did not happen. He wore white gloves and he smoked hand-rolled cigarettes, so he really did smoke, unlike Alec. Unlike Sir Guinness. Sir Alec. And he smelled of violets. So there was a whole trip organized around these cigarettes that he smoked. And I just remember he would go over and he would sit. Sir Alec was more involved with us, I think. But also, again, I was really shy, and that was the first scene that I shot. I thought I recognized your foul stench when I arrived on board. That's easy to say, isn't it? That's when I wanted to come in and say, you know what? It smelled to high heaven when I got on this ship. And I thought, it's Tarkin. The man stenched. Anyway, that was when George said, you're being, you know, this is very serious. So that's when my British accent happened.
Right here in the middle.
Hi, obviously I'm a big fan, grew up idolizing you as my mom grew up idolizing your mother in the Tammy films before me, so that's pretty cool. But I was just wondering, obviously a strong start to the female actresses in the family, what it was like being in a film series like Star Wars, which has been heavily noted to be lacking in the female character department.
Say again?
Okay, the Star Wars films have kind of always been a boys' club thing, you know, very few female speaking roles. I was just wondering what that was like on set and what it's been
I was
like.
the only girl in an all-boy fantasy. How bad could it be? Of course, when it was lunchtime and you want to go have your nails done and do a little shopping, you know, you have to look for the gay guys. There was one robot that I used to shop up.
All right, over here, Superman shirt.
Hi, thanks so much for coming out to Toronto this year. We appreciate it, and I can say for sure that you're definitely one of the first original Hollywood stars that no one would disagree with. Question is, Many fans would think that Hollywood has really lost originality in its script and its movies. Would you agree with that? And what do we have to do to bring back originality?
No, I really think there is this sort of second wave of really interesting stuff that, you know, is actually reflects what's the contemporary, you know, times that we live in. We're not making those screwball films or those really serious, but that reflected another time, you know, that was more innocent and people were more formal and things were more hidden. And I think, you know, I think at first it was sort of Bob Carroll, Ted and Alice, you know, they did all these films to be shocking. And now I think it has kind of settled in to where we're making films about who we are. I think there's a huge fascination with documentaries. And, you know, I'm more interested in a film that's just based on a true story. So, you know, maybe we're more voyeurs now. And less people, it's all about being entertained. And I do think that we're still entertained, it's just being entertained from a different kind of slant. But I do think the originality isn't gone. It's just not in any way similar, apparently, to the films that my mother grew up making and watching.
Thank you. We're off to your right.
Hello. I was introduced to you from my favorite movie of all time, which is When Harry Met Sally. So I wanted to ask you about the process of making that movie and some of your later, more realistic movies and how that process differed.
Well, hair and makeup didn't take 2 hours. Literally, it took, I think, about an hour and a half to put those buns on me. So an hour and a half to look really silly, you know. I used to say, I fall asleep in the chair. I'd go to sleep plain and wake up pretty. Anyway, that's what I said to that, to my hairdresser. Those films were, you know, they were much more casual. And we were living in a world and reflecting a world that was fantasy. It was very human and very emotional, which is why I think people did like the first 3 films, because they were more that way. You know, and you're doing a comedy, so that stuff is very, there's a gnat up here. Very talented gnat. No, so it was much more casual. Actually, you know, there were more girls on it, I'll say that, even if it was just men. So, in a way, then it was the girls and the boys on Harry Met Sally, and it wasn't like that on Star Wars. It was the girl, and no. But they actually, some of the crew were female, so.
All right, we got one down this aisle.
Hello. I was actually wondering, if you actually did get the chance to portray Princess Leia again in the newer series, how might you actually want to have her shown like more, I guess, like as a action, like more action star?
How would you differ your portrayal? How would you like to see her now?
Yeah.
Not in the metal bikini. Thank you. Unless they could involve Spanx somehow. I would like to shoot guns again if that came up. No, I couldn't say. You know, again, I think it's the imagination, it's the storytelling, it's the fantasy element of those films that appealed. It's the fairy tale of the 21st century. So it's just nice being in a world that's this imaginative world that somehow seems familiar, but how could it?
Got one right at the back, right here.
Hello, Ms. Fisher. I really liked the movie Fanboys, and I was wondering if you could tell me how you got involved with that.
How I what?
how you got involved in that project?
Anytime they do something that has to do with Star Wars, they track me down, and no matter how many trees I hide behind, they find me. So I was just sent the script, you know, and they actually asked me to do, I do a voice on Family Guy. They actually asked me to be the voice of Princess Leia in their takeoff on Star Wars. And I would have been the only one of the original cast in it, and they would have paid me $412. So I held out for $415, and it didn't go. But so I don't remember all the particulars of Fanboys, but it came from a very roundabout source, I think, because they were just kids, right? I don't remember.
All right, we're down on your left side now. Right here.
Hi, Carrie. I'm a huge fan, and growing up, you were honestly like one of my heroes. I won't go into detail too much because I'll cry, but my question is, who were some of your heroes growing up? And I also have a second question. It can wait till the end, if I could give you a hug.
I have the Black Plague, though. My heroes were a lot of writers. Dorothy Parker was a big hero of mine. I read a lot. That was sort of my first drug. I would escape into other worlds. And so that was sort of Star Wars for me. So I loved Jane Austen. It was all of that. And actually, I didn't go to college. I didn't even make it out of high school. So I was sort of, I don't know. My family called me a bookworm, and they didn't say it nice. So those were my heroes. It was Cary Grant and Dorothy Parker and a lot of other writers.
All right, right down the middle.
Hi, I've been a fan of you since I was 4, so it's really great to see you. I was just wondering when you originally got the script for A New Hope, what were your thoughts on it? Like, did you have any preconceived notions about it, or did you think, what was I getting myself into?
The first movie?
Yes, the first one.
Was it called A New Hope then?
I'm
so confused. It wasn't, was it? It was? Oh, dear. Thank you! All right. I thought it was fantastic. I read it, and I read it out loud with a friend of mine, Miguel Ferrer, he's an actor. He was, we grew up together, and we read the whole thing out loud, and it was amazing. All of that stuff that you see was on the page. And because there was no precedent for it, you imagine it to the extent that your mind can. And when I read it, I just thought, how can they do this? How can they achieve what I imagine this looks like, what's achieved in the writing? And so I wanted to be in it just to see how they could do it. And I wanted to play Han Solo. Well, he got most of the snarky lines, but I was fine with who I got to play.
All right, we're over on your right, way at the back.
Hi there, thank you for the glitter also. You're awesome. I was wondering, who was your favorite actor, either in Star Wars or Drop Dead Fred or The Burbs? You were great in all those, and I was wondering if there was a particular actor that you really got along well with.
Did I work with?
Yes.
Jeez. You know, I was in Hannah and Her Sisters, and Michael Caine was in it. I didn't have any scenes with him, but he kills me. He was awesome. I worked with Laurence Olivier. You can't believe who I've worked with. It just doesn't make any sense. I worked with Alec Guinness, with Laurence Olivier, with John Gielgud. Because I'm really basically a Shakespearean actress. Actually, I went to the Central School of Speech and Drama. And so that's also why I have the accent. But they did teach me how to, all I want is a proper cup of coffee made in a proper cup of coffee pot. You can believe it or not, but I want a cup of coffee in a proper coffee pot. Tin coffee pots and iron coffee pots, they're no use to me. If I can't have a proper cup of coffee in a proper coffee pot, I'll have a cup of tea. So, thank you. So that's why but I got to, when I was doing my, Meryl Streep did the script, Postcards from the Edge that I wrote, so that was amazing, seeing her, do that, and the rest of the cast on that, and working with Mike Nichols. Mike Nichols would be, extraordinary to be around people who were that creative, that funny, that smart, and to just sit and take it in, and that they would have an interesting way of answering any question that you had. So I was very, I worked with Woody Allen. So we didn't get along perfectly, but I truly admire him. So I got to work with a lot of people that I admire.
All right, we're down to your right. Right down here.
My name's Emily, and I'm really happy that you came here. It's a really big, I appreciated it a lot. And my question is, what do you think of George selling Star Wars to Disney, sorry, because I'm a big fan of both.